Hey everyone, welcome. It's Shannon Cherry and it is Ask Me Anything Live. Welcome. I am so happy you're here today. And I know some people will be popping on and off, and I got some questions in advance from some people I know and trust, and you had an opportunity to do that as well. Not a big deal. Just ask your question in the chat area and I will be able to help you. Couple housekeeping things. You might see me turn over here just in case StreamYard isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, because I want to make sure I am getting your questions answered. In the meantime, before people start popping in with questions, I want to make sure that you know a little bit about me, and I want to give you some tips already. So things like this can actually earn you money, believe it or not, Facebook Lives. But I want to know how you're earning money now. So if you have a website, if you know who your target market is, if you have a list already, even if it's really teeny tiny, those are all income revenue producing things. And if you market yourself in any means, not everything, but any means, you're earning money. And if you have products, programs, packages, services, anything that you actually sell, you are making money. So congratulations. I am glad you're starting to earn money, because that's what this is about, right? If you're in business, the key is to earn money, even if it's a little bit, just to start out. And so I'm really excited that you've taken a big step in building your business. But you also have to know, what else could you be doing to make more money? Because chances are you're leaving money on the table. Because hundreds of thousands of dollars you could easily earn just by tweaking a few things that you're already doing. And today, part of my goal is to show you where you're leaving money on the table and how to stop it, but then how to make more money quickly. So let's get started. How many of you are marketers? Now, I know some of you are going, nope, not me. I am not a marketer at all. And that's okay, sort of. Because here's the thing. No matter who you are in your business, no matter what you do, you're a marketer first and foremost. I don't care if you are a psychiatrist. I don't care if you are an auto detailer. Your real job is being a marketer first and foremost. Because if you're not a marketer, it's a really hard concept to get, because even people who do marketing for a living sometimes forget this. If you don't market yourself and your expertise, your business has very little chance of succeeding. I can count the tombstones of businesses out there. Only half of most small businesses, and this is prior to the pandemic, last more than 5 years. And that means you already only have a 50% chance of making it. Yeah, I know that's grim. And if you're a little bit more experienced with a few more years under your belt, your odds are better than most. But frankly, the stats don't lie. The sooner you realize that no matter what business you're in, you're also in the business of marketing, the better. Because if you don't have a business. Look, the world has changed, and the pace of change is accelerating. The population of small business owners and freelancers is expanding faster than their business clients. That's why this battle for clients and customers and the battle for recognition in the marketplace is the single biggest concern that businesses of all sizes have. It's sort of like the war of survival. Look, I know a lot of you might be thinking, well, Shannon, that's easy for you to say. You're a marketer, so telling people they need to market only benefits you. Well, let me wind back a few things for a minute and tell you, when I started, I was a former journalist and turned PR pro, and the truth, inequality, and fairness were very important to me. In 2002, I started a new job just after getting married, and I started a new job at this newly formed PR firm in the area. One day, my boss called me into his office for a meeting with a client. Instead of congratulating me for getting that client on Good Morning America, my boss attempted to humiliate me. You see, this guy felt instilling fear was the best way to motivate his staff. So he called me every name in the book in front of the client, and he peppered it with a lot of, and these are trigger words for me, and they might be for you, retarded and stupid, because I only got the client on Good Morning America instead of all the morning programs. So instead of taking it, which was what I wanted to do because I just had this job and I just got married, I walked out. I left the building and I called my husband in tears. And he asked me to meet him for lunch. And in tears, as we were eating whatever I was eating at the time, he handed me a piece of paper. And on it was a domain name he purchased. He said, not only can you do better than him, but you can do it on your terms and without the BS he thinks works. So that's when I began my business, with truth and fairness as the staple for everything I did and still do. It's part of my mission to be for equity and justice and fairness. So I ignored the marketing, seeing it as a box of charlatans' magic tricks. And guess what? I struggled. I was left behind and kept waiting for those phones to ring, and frankly felt like pitching the whole thing and just starting again and getting another job. You know, the science of marketing and business development is the core for getting clients and customers. Yet ironically, that critical business discipline is shunned by many, including me at one time, who thought that advertising seemed cheap and unseemingly begging. That's what I thought at the time. So the study of markets, which is also known as marketing, is what fuels the success of every profitable business. And yet most coaches and consultants really don't understand the marketing function. So before I get into that, I want to check in and see if there are any questions. I'm looking over to my left really quick to make sure. But if not, that's okay. I have some right here. And if you do have a question, you can always pop it in the chat. I will certainly get it and be able to answer it. And if some way I miss it, I will do my best to reach out to you via Messenger to answer your question. Okay? So let's look. Emily asks, what's the best way to market my business? Well, that's what we're kind of talking about today, right? And there are a lot of different ways. But here's the thing. No matter what you do, and some of the tips I'm going to give you today may help you market your business, you need to know the strategy behind it first. Part of marketing is the tactics, and that's what everyone focuses on. Like social media is a tactic. Public relations is a tactic. Email marketing is a tactic. But you have to focus on the strategy first. And that's knowing who your market is. And it's not everybody and anybody on the planet, even if something is a generic item or you can serve many different people. You want to narrow that focus, identify that target market, and then find out where they are. Because if they are not on Facebook, then there's no business for you to market your business on Facebook. If they are not on Pinterest, there's no business for you to be there. If they do not use email, or they don't use images, or you have to find, I guess my point is you have to find and go deep on who these people are and where they consume their image, where they get their information from. Because once you know that, you will find the best way to market and hone those skills first. And there'll be more tips about marketing as we go on. Let's see. Rochelle asks, what kind of language should I use to appeal to artists? Again, artists is a big audience, right? So when you say artist, do you mean visual artist? Do you mean performance artist? Do you mean, who are they talking about? And what are, who are these people that you want to reach? Because artists can be people who paint, artists can be people who sew. My mother is a fabric artist, so they call, a textile artist. So it all depends on who they are, because their language will be different. And then it's also, are they male? Are they female? I grew up in museums. My mom worked in museums, in art galleries, most of when I was young, and most of my beginning years, formative years were in living in museums and art galleries. And one thing I know is the way male artists are and the way female artists are very different too. So you really need to, again, hone in on who that person is, and then find out. The best tip I can give you is find out what they're reading. What magazines are they reading online, or what subscriptions they're getting? Because that is going to tell you the kind of language that will appeal to your target market. Okay, I'm just looking through the streams here really quickly to see if there are any other questions or possible things going on that I need to know about. And doesn't seem like it, except I'm getting a lot of pop-ups here. So I think we're okay. Anyway, let's get back to some marketing info and give you some more tips. Marketing is not just advertising, and it's not just a bunch of sales. Yeah, let's try that one again, right? Nothing like live and having that kind of mix up, but that's okay. Marketing is not a bunch of used car sales techniques, although I still see them used today. I mean, one of my pet peeves is when people pop into my messenger or my direct message system and start already marketing to me without even knowing me. Don't do it. At least don't do it to me, because you might get backlash. Anyway, so what is marketing? It's the study of why your clients will buy your services. It's what services they will buy, when they will buy them, and how they make buying decisions. Marketing is what they're willing to pay for those services and what would make them buy more. You want to think about what other products and services they are going to want from you. So you're already creating a system to meet them where they are and meeting their expectations for their next needs and wants. And finally, you have to think about what's going to cause them to leave you and what causes them to stay with you. That is the science of marketing in a nutshell. So it's basically the understanding of how your cash register rings. So once you become that marketer, you'll find that you're going to get far more targeted prospects, and those prospects will connect with you, which means you will increase your cash. So I want you to think about this and start putting this in your head right now. I am a marketer. For years, I resisted that. Even though I do it now and it seems easy to me, it's not. And I keep reminding myself I need to market myself. It's just the nature of the game. So that's one way you can take to action, is to continue to say, I'm a marketer in your head. And here's another. I want you to have constant inspiration. So even when you're doubting yourself, I want you to know that someone has your back. So here's a little gift. If you send me an email today at marketer, marketer, at shannoncherry.com, and I'm going to put it up there. This is the fun part, right? Putting up these banners in there. There we go. If you do marketer at shannoncherry.com, I'm going to send you a free printable that you can print out and put wherever you work, every time you work. And that way you will know you are a marketer and I have your back. Great. Cool. Okay. So keep that near you, and I promise it's going to make a difference. And speaking of making a difference, Let me ask you another question to see if you're still leaving money on the table. Do you market yourself consistently, both offline as well as online? I know that's one most people don't think about is offline marketing. But to be honest, you're missing something if you're not doing it. If you're not, and of course, if you're not marketing yourself consistently at all, you already have a problem. Consistently is every week, and I would even say every day, you're marketing yourselves. But you also have to think of options offline because actually many of your target market is in the offline world. Even though right now we are in this semi-pandemic, post-pandemic world where people are starting to get out, they're still using offline. You still have to get out there. So here's some facts that you may not know about offline marketing. Because why bother otherwise? This is a pandemic world and people are online. The majority of people are online. That's true. But offline reigns supreme. 67% of all people who search for a specific topic, a topic like what you do and when you're making money is, start only after finding out the information offline first. So you may be missing out on your highest paying customers if you ignore offline marketing. Plus, some of the offline marketing methods, you actually increase your credibility more than with online methods. So let's talk about what strategies you can do to start thinking offline. The first is direct mail. I know a lot of us think that's junk mail. I throw a lot of it away, but I find some hidden gems in there, and I found a great plumber that way through direct mail. So it's a terrific return on investment too when tested properly. Using postcards are really a great way to do it, so you can send them out, but you can also send a traditional newsletter if you want. Those tips, by the way, are really good for real estate agents. They really work well because that is an outside world thing. Flyers. Who says you can't hire a high school student to stuff mailboxes or stick them on windshields? Post these flyers on bulletin boards. You see, sometimes there's even places like at Starbucks that you can post these things. Now, obviously, if you're selling something really high priced, like a financial course or something like that, you want to be sure you know where you're targeting because your local big box store may not be where you want to do a high price thing. Letters to the editor. This is one of my favorites because letters to the editor are one of the most read sections in any publication. Yet the editors I talk to all the time say they don't get them that often. They just don't get enough, or they get the same people over and over again. So this is your opportunity. All you need to do is simply comment on a recent story showing off your expertise. And of course, sign it with your name and your website URL. They work like a charm. You could even start your own talk show, believe it or not, if you generate enough content. And I am not, if you're already doing podcasting, if you're already doing maybe video blogging, this you can do in addition with local TV access stations. They're still doing this. And if your target market is local and you're ready for the bright lights of television, you can do this. You can also look for radio stations. I've had several clients actually get their own radio shows in a traditional market, not online, but traditional market that then is streamed to the world. That could be of interest to you as well. And of course, I always say business cards aren't dead either. I know it's been a year where we're not handing out business cards, but business cards still work. And that's because most people collect them because they're a great reference point for people. So besides putting information on both sides of your business card, you need to put a compelling benefits-oriented message on it. And there are many ways to put your business card to work for you. You know, you can do odd size shape. I mean, just only a few years ago, the square ones came into fame, where before they were the traditional little rectangular ones. You know, Rolodex style cards are really great, especially for if you're going to be targeting journalists because they still have their Rolodexes, believe it or not, or an online database. But those are great ways to keep them and stand out for the crowd as well. A good lead generation device is like a free report or a course or something like that, or a free gift is also a great thing to put on your card. Then distribute them where your prospects live. Now, one of my favorites, which is the best and low-cost ways to use offline marketing, is to get media coverage. We touched on this a little bit when we talked about letters to the editor, but this is even a bigger thing. So think about that for a moment. You can use press releases and pitches to target the media. And what would happen if you received media coverage from a prominent news outlet? Wouldn't that enhance your status a little bit? Maybe even bring more credibility, and then you get that as seen onto your website. And of course, you can reuse that content. So you can't use it because of copyright, but you can reuse it in ways like talk about it on a blog post with a link to it, or share it in social media with a link. It's a very easy thing to do. So while we're at I've covered all 5 of these, and I want to go a little bit more into press releases. I want to look for some more questions and go from there. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at these. Sorry, I'm turning away from you all, but sometimes I have to do this. Let's answer some more questions. All right, and if you have one and you haven't asked one yet, you can put one in the chat. So one says, I need concrete steps to grow my list. Yeah, we talked a little bit. I touched on list building. I'll touch on it again a little bit. List building is a science in itself. And the one way that is guaranteed to grow your list is partnerships. And you have to think of partnerships in a lot of different ways. As a matter of fact, I shared some of those in one of the Be Heard free gifts I gave away this week. So if you got access to that, you can start thinking of it. Doing guest blog posts is a partnership. Being a guest on podcaster is a partnership. Actually then offering a free gift as a bonus to some other person that's in your niche, but maybe not competing exactly. Those are ways that once you do that and create your little opt-in and do that, I just had an idea, but I'll get to it in a minute. You'll want to make sure that you have that opt-in and you are able to capture the leads. You're using the traffic that this person already has to come to you as well. It's a great technique, and I highly recommend it. Now, speaking of opt-ins, this is where my mind was going, is make sure you have them. It's amazing how many people say, just come to my list and have an opt-in like that. Nobody does that anymore. People don't want to be on list. I mean, I don't want to be on a list, but I may want your cooking tips. I may want to learn more about Instagram. So I'm learning about Instagram right now, and I got on someone's list to do that. And now I'm taking a course from this person because I needed to learn it, but I had to learn it by getting on her list. And now I'm already a buyer. So to grow your list, you need to be very strategic. And know what you can give people. Right now, currently, checklists and worksheets are really hot, so I suggest you try to do those. Another question. Susan wants to know, how can I get people to buy through affiliate links on my blog? This goes back to one of the first things I said, Susan, which is you need to market it. Just putting an affiliate link and having blog posts isn't enough. How are you marketing your blog posts? Are you using social media? Great. Is your market on those social medias? Find out. Medium medias. Yes, medium medias. Anyway, Great. Make sure that you are marketing your blog. That's the only way. You have to keep driving traffic to that blog if that is how you're making money. And by the way, I highly recommend using affiliate programs and affiliate links. I am an affiliate partner to many people and many products. You'll see a lot of the product related stuff on abowlofcherries.com, which is my sort of lifestyle blog. And like I talk about the Instapot because I love my Instapot. Actually have two. But I have a link to recommend the ones I want. I have links to recommend the kind of accessories I have for my Instapots. Do I make a ton of money on them? No, but that's not my bread and butter. But anytime I see an opportunity to promote something else easily, I use affiliate links. For example, I just completed a program called Courses That Sell. And in that, you will not only do I train people to use affiliate links in it to make more money, but I show them exactly how I do it because I walk my talk by giving affiliate links. I recommend a certain email provider. I recommend a certain shopping cart. Those I use affiliate links from. I use them, so I might as well get paid when I recommend them. Think of it that way. Okay, any other questions? Kara, it looks like, is wondering how to, I hope it's Kara because one of my childhood friends is named Kara, but it could be Kara. Sorry if I said it wrong. Kara's wondering about, how to get in the news, because I remembered that. So I've got more tips on that right now, so just hold on. I'm just checking to see if there are any other comments in our threads, and I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to move forward. Okay, so we talked a little bit about doing a press release. Now I'm going to talk to you about it. Press release is basically a newsworthy story about your business that you submit to various media outlets, newspaper, radio, television, online. But the key here is they have to relate to the news story and your target market. So press releases follow a specific format and is really meant to get a reporter to write a story about you. It's as simple as that. Here's the thing. They aren't advertisements. So you can't say, hey, I've got this great course and it's super awesome and people are going to love it. That's an advertisement. They're going to send you right there or the reporter's going to throw it out. What is a newsworthy story that might be of interest of picking up, if you use this course analogy, would be so many people now, because they're displaced from work, because they've been working online so long, are now ready to share their knowledge in a course. And I can give them tips of how to do that. You see the difference? Eventually, it'll get to my course about courses. But right now, it's about the newsworthy angle. And the story you see is what I did was piggyback on a hot topic, which was the pandemic and people losing their jobs and things like that. So what do people want to hear about you? You have to think in a reporter angle, and then you have to make it happen. So don't be afraid to do it. If you have an idea, if you see a way to piggyback on what's going on, it's okay. Here's the other thing. If you've already written a blog post about this topic, you can easily take some of that and convert that to a press release or a pitch. It's not that hard. So if you're already doing some of this and doing it on your own blog or creating content that way, with a few tweaks, use it as a press release and send it to the media as well. Okay. Speaking of reinventing the wheel, and we don't want you doing that, I want you to learn a little bit about not wasting time, because I think that's really important. A lot of people think that content needs to be original. So I'm going to let you in a little secret right now. And if you're watching, great. What I'm talking about today, in addition to answering questions, because I wanted to make sure I had enough content and I wanted to make sure that is a speech that I used to do all the time. I reinvented it for today. I also take the content that I am creating on blog posts, converting it into videos and sharing them occasionally. I repurpose content and I repost content all the time. The reason why I repost is if you think in terms of Twitter, which is a great one, people see it and it flashes by their screen, and if they weren't there around that time, it may not ever bubble up for them. So repurposing and reusing content is a really important strategy that'll help you save money and time, but also help your customers and target market understand your brand, know who you are, and start remembering, because it takes at least, they used to say it takes 7 times in order for someone to start knowing, liking, and trusting you. In the internet, that was said way before the internet world even happened. We get bombarded with at least 20,000 to 30,000 marketing messages a day. So you really need to stand out and do it more often. Okay, talking about that, let's now ask you another question. Are you following up with your prospects consistently? Because your customers and subscribers are asking for you to send them things. They know, they opted in. And if you're not doing it consistently, you're going to lose them. And I am going to give you a very hard example of my personal life about this. And that is, I took a break from my business for a couple of years, partly because I wanted to buy a house, and we had moved to California. And although my income was great, it probably wasn't going to be that great once we moved to California. And also, it just didn't, California had different rules and regulations, so it made it more difficult for us to buy a house. I also knew that my kids needed to get away from me a little bit. And I'll talk a little bit more about them in a little bit, but I do know that they were now in school. They were at the last end of elementary school and going into middle school, and they didn't need me as much anymore. That changed recently, but they didn't need me then. And I needed to get out, meet people, and do things in California because I wasn't doing it before. So I took a leave of absence. And all of a sudden, I came back. I had a list of, 10,000 plus people, but they're not, because I hadn't been following up with them consistently. Most of them have unsubscribed recently. Ouch. Or some of them don't even open anymore. And that breaks my heart because I thought I had great people. I do have great people, don't get me wrong. But if I'm not doing my job, how do you expect them to remember you when you do come back to them? And how do you expect them to buy from you if all you do is once in a while send out an email saying, well, I'm here, buy from me? It doesn't work that way. Okay. That was a big confession. So the lack of consistent follow-up is one of the most common mistakes I see almost everybody make, including me. So what do you do once someone opts into your list? Do you follow up after the initial free offer? Do you follow up after someone buys from you? Let's put it in perspective this way, because this is the lesson I learned. So new email subscribers are like milk. They have a best by date on them, which means you need to handle them carefully to avoid spoilage. Typically, these are your most enthusiastic subscribers. These new people are eager to hear from you more than people way in the past. So if you ignore them, or if you turn up the heat a little too fast, they're going to curdle, just like milk. And here's the thing. Studies show, like I've said, you need to market to them over and over again, not just 7 times, but sometimes it's like 20 times or 30 times before they decide they want to buy from you. So think of it this way. If you're only doing 1 email a week and you have to market to them 20 times, that's more than 4 months till you hit that magic number. And I can tell you that is way past any sell-by date, right? So I know it can feel hard to follow up with people without feeling creepy or pushy, but it is your responsibility to keep following up with your prospects until you know for certain they want to do business with you. So how can you follow up and show your expertise off, and more importantly, land more sales? First, create a series of autoresponders. Email autoresponders allow you to keep reaching out to your prospects without you having to do it every single time someone signs up. So you can offer them free tidbits at a regular basis. I even tell people now to introduce themselves after the second or third one. Yes, they know who you are, sort of, but you want to tell them more of who you are and what you have to do. And if this is the first time and you're not on my list, you can see how that's done. If you want to, I'm not pushing that. If you go to shannoncherry.com and sign up for my list, let's see if I have one of those banners. There you go. I will give you free resources and free tips, but you'll also follow my autoresponder sequence, which will also introduce me more to them just as a person. And by the way, what I'm finding is that is one of the most opened emails I have in my autoresponder series. Funny, huh? Okay. And what's great about autoresponders is, and you probably already know this, is they do it automatically. It's awesome. So basically, day 1, they get something when they opt in. Day 3, they might get something. Day 5, whatever it is. I promise you, most people are like, don't do it this way. People don't like it. I don't like that much email. I don't like that much email either. But I'm telling you, it works. So a couple more ideas. Send a thank you note. You can send a personal email to new customers or even make a phone call. But even sending a good old-fashioned thank you note via US Postal System is a great resource for you to be able to say, hey, it was great, thank you for buying, or whatever it is. Lou Bartone, I have to say, who's a video guy who had coached me up to the point of doing this live video, actually is a great person. He sends thank you notes, and he actually sent me beautiful thank you flowers for a referral I made to him for a new customer or client. These kind of things really do make a difference. It makes your clients and prospects feel like they're important. Sending them a handwritten note is a really outrageous way. That's that. And by the way, that is also the offline marketing tool. It really does make a difference. So you'll see that they love it. And there are actually places that will actually put people in your funnel for you. Send Out Cards is a great one for this, by the way. I've been using that for decades. Well, for almost 15 years at least. So almost decade and a half. How about that? So other things you can do is find a relevant, interesting article and send it. Now, this isn't an extravagant gesture. If you find a blog post you think your prospects would like, clip it or send an email along. You know, if it's in the newspaper, clip it, pop it in make some copies, pop it in the mail with a handwritten note. If it's a blog post, send a link. It's okay. You're not telling you're not telling to buy every time. It's okay to say, hey, there's this great blog post on Lou Bartone's blog, and you might want to take a look. Or there's a great blog post even on my blog that you might want to take a look. And also, if you do meet people one-on-one, make a mental note of personal details if you're chatting with them. Things like they are addicted to Quiznos or they love Starbucks. How do you make that happen? You can buy them a $5 Starbucks card. Say it was great meeting you. You're more likely to create a better impression that way. The final thing I want you to remember is don't be afraid to offer one-time offers. Because as a marketer, you're losing out on great sources of income if you're not utilizing one-time offers. A one-time offer is simply an upsell of an enhanced product or the cross-sale of a related product. If you're selling an expensive product, An inexpensive product. Let's start with inexpensive. Say like $27 report or $57 report, and not attempting to upsell the customer while you have them on your site. You're probably leaving money on the table. And you can set this up on almost any page. There are plenty of shopping carts that will do this for you as well, which is great. And if you want that, send an email to marketer@shannoncherry.com. Let me pop that up again. You'll also get that free printable, but if you have a question there, I'll be able to answer it about which, wake up, Shannon, which shopping cart I use, and I'll give you an affiliate link so you'll see how that works as well. The key here is planning. So you want to make sure your one-time offer is very clear that they're only going to see this one time and never again at this specific price. So once they click the no thank you, adios, they're never going to see it at that price. It doesn't mean you're not going to try to sell them again on this product. It just means they're never going to see that price again. And by the way, I just gave you a hint earlier that subscribers, when they first subscribe, are more eager to solve their problem than any other time. That's why they subscribe. So you may want to consider a one-time offer as soon as they subscribe. Okay, there's one more strategy I think people need to know about before I'm going to just go and make sure we don't have any other questions. Okay, a question about a press release. Great. Susan asks, if I create a press release, who do I send it to? Good question. And the answer is, it depends. This is where your homework comes in. And I always say start local first, because that's always a great way to start, because the local reporters are more amenable than trying to get a Good Morning in America or the Today Show or wherever else you want to be. Start small and work your way up. The easiest way to do this is pick up the phone and ask. Now, you don't want to bother a reporter or pitch them unless they ask. Just say, I am wondering who the right person is to get a press release about this specific topic. If the reporter says, tell me more, that's your chance to tell them more. If not, they usually will tell you. Reporters don't want to waste their time with me being used to be a reporter. We don't want to waste our time trying to field, did you get my press release? Who do I send it to? Blah, blah, blah. All of these questions all at once or a pitch. I'd rather you call me in advance before you waste your time if I don't think that story is great. Or if I'm the wrong person to send it to, I'm happy to refer you to the right person. That's how any business should work, right? Anyway, but just remember, pick up the phone and do the homework. Ask them if they're the right person for this topic. They'll easily say yes or no. Sometimes you might see it on their website as well, so you can go check there. But oftentimes a phone call, because reporters kind of move in and out of different topics and different expertises and even different jobs, you might want to check that. Okay, so let's go to our final strategy for stopping to leave money on the table. And that is one of my favorites, because I earn money doing this all the time, which is sponsorship. I mean, imagine if someone could actually pay you to get your vision out there. Now, we've heard a lot about sponsorships over the years. I've been doing sponsorships way before it became an influencer marketing thing. Just ask all my friends. They know I used to do this. As a matter of fact, I've had Starbucks pay for gift cards to people who attended my conference way back in the day. I've had Dell computers. I have had a car. And right now I'm in negotiations with a food company who shall be nameless at this time because we're not ready to announce yet, because I talk about my cooking a lot in my other website. So right now they are approaching me. I've done wine, I've done food, I've done, oh my gosh, I've done so much. And currently I already have new products that I get for free, including a webinar service, just because they are paying me to promote them. So you can do this for live events, and we know now we can do these for virtual events, even though I was doing them for virtual events for a long time. You can get money for publishing a website or blog post that features information that draws that audience in. I've used sponsorships to attend live conferences and virtual conferences for free. So that means they paid for my trip. They paid for me to be at someplace I wanted to be. And the key is you can also find a lot of different ways to partner with companies through sponsorship. Isn't that cool? So here is the secret. But prior to just calling Starbucks and saying, hey, I want you to sponsor me, it doesn't quite work like that, by the way. You'll want to do your due diligence in researching your prospect. Again, if you're already doing this for your target market, it should be easy to find because the same people, they're targeting the same people you're targeting. Because Starbucks actually has, if you look at Starbucks, they actually have a model of who they're targeting and who they want there. So think if that matches your target, not someone who drives by and picks up a Starbucks, but someone who typically prior to COVID would hang out there, it's probably the same people. So the emphasis has got to be on a return on investment for the sponsor. So you need to make that happen that way. And a great sponsorship proposal shows that they're going to get a return on investment because you're going to match them with their ideal client, which happens to be yours as well. So make sure that you're doing your research and finding out exactly who the potential sponsors want and what their needs are, what their wants are, and the desires are. Sound familiar with your target market? Because it is. So if you're doing that homework already, this should be an easy one. Now, we have about a few minutes left, so I want to do a check-in. What other questions do we have? I don't see them, and that doesn't mean they're not there. It means I'm not seeing them at the time. And again, if you do have a question and you put it in the comments, I promise you that if I didn't answer it, I will message you directly and give you your answer. No upsells. I'm not doing upsells on this. As if you've noticed, I'm trying not to even mention some of the things I use. So if that is something you want to know, if you want my referrals, you can always send me an email at marketer@shannoncherry.com. Ooh, I get to put that banner up again. Lou, thanks for showing me all this. Lou Bortone. Let's see. There you go. Marketer@shannoncherry.com for the free printable. And you can also ask your questions there, and I promise to answer them. Anyway, so I have a couple more questions that came in through earlier in the past week as I announced this. And one is, do I offer coaching? I do. I'm not a coach though. So you need to know that not everybody does a coaching formula. I meet people where they are and I give them direct help and feedback, just like I'm doing today. Thank you for asking that, but that wasn't meant to be an upsell, but I'm going to answer it anyway because other people may be wondering that. The other question I have is about, one just came in about sponsorships. Let me address that because they're actually the same, similar at least. There is, how do you find the right sponsors? Again, I just mentioned you have to do your homework, but I'll give you a quick tip. One of the easiest ways to do this, and the way I do it also to help people find their target market, is find out what magazines they're reading, right? So if you find out what magazines your ideal client is reading or subscribing to, grab a few of them. You're going to find your proper wording. These magazines also have marketing kits and advertising kits, which will give you additional demographics and psychographics about these people that are subscribing to this, which is your ideal client, right? And there's some other things in there, like advertisers, because if you're seeing that that is a match and those are the advertisers who are trying to reach those ideal clients. So if you see those advertisers, that's where you're going to find them. Again, do your due diligence. And again, make sure that you find that they really do meet your criteria. And here's the other thing. You may not want some of them. I mean, certainly there are certain brands that I would never put my name with. And you have to consider that as well. Is it worth the money to be affiliated with a brand you're not happy with? Because your brand is your integrity. So keep those things in mind. But there's the quick tip for that. Okay, So I've shared some of the money leaks that you might have. And the question is, do you want to stop them? I mean, how much better life will be? I'm only going to ask one thing: take action. Because if you don't take action, you will never be able to get through these money leaks and patch them up and move on to the next. You're not going to grow your list. You're not going to be able to make more money. These are the things that you need to do. And it's sort of why I created Be Heard Day in the first place, because I knew people were not being heard. They did not know how to find their voice, tell their story, and be heard to make more money and profit. And as you already know, justice and fairness are my thing. So as I started growing my business, a little thing happened along the way. Well, two, and they're not so little now. Those are my twin girls, Lyra and Sophia. My business was fine, but like I said, I had to leave because they needed me because they were diagnosed with autism. And I became an autism advocate and an advocate for people with disabilities in general. And I'm proud to say, because I have the life I do now and I'm able to re-engage in my business, that they have gotten some of the best care and therapies out there. And I am so lucky every day that even though one of them is what they call nonverbal, she cannot talk to me in the way that you and I are communicating with, well, meaning verbally. She is starting to now type at 15 years old, and we are starting to have a different relationship. Her gifts are coming out. Now, it means a lot to me to be able to have a business where I can see the money leaks and I start plugging them up immediately. And I want to make sure you do too. And I want to share a final piece of advice with you. Things like fortune cookies and astrology and affirmations are great, but they're no way to predict your future success. Success means you need to take action. And when you do, you'll be able to find your voice, tell your story, and be heard through the massive crowds out there. And if I didn't have two girls who didn't have a voice at one point, both of them didn't, and now they can. They both can communicate. You can too. I know it. I believe in you. And thank you so much for allowing me to be heard today. I hope you all have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, just send them through. I'll be happy to answer them. Have a great day.